Welcome back. I'm Fred Yakey. This is the Barbershop Male Mentoring Initiative podcast, and we have a wonderful guest here, a young man that I met a few years ago in the community. But before we get started today, as always, I love to kind of give a thought process, something that can kind of have us think about. They said reading is fundamental, and I found that to be very true. In fact, when you look at the data, particularly here in Indiana, that literacy and reading and comprehension is one of the things that is impacting youth, even as they progress, not just in urban communities, but in rural communities. But I also wanted to talk about how reading is impactful for the journey that we have as adults. Reading is impactful to understand that what we have to look forward to the future. In fact, this podcast is started off of literacy, off of being a scribe, so to speak, that we can capture the life stories of individuals so it can live beyond us, but it can impact others. But I also think reading can also be underrated. I think there's a level of reading that you can look into someone and you can read their actions, you can read their history, you can read their love language, you can read what they're called to do. And this guest came to me today by me just reading his generosity and his spirit, someone who has been impactful and has not only a size advantage over many people, but he also has a heart advantage. And through that reading, I'm honored to welcome my friend Andrew. Thanks for being here today, brother.
Good to see you, man.
All right.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, help us to pronounce your last name correctly.
Cohoat.
Cohoat. Because I know I messed it up before and other people mess it up. Andrew Cohoat.
Just how it sounds phonetically, yes.
Okay.
Cohoat,
Now,
yes.
where does Cohoat come from?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a kind of Polish-Ukrainian type of a background, and it was really spelled differently when my ancestors moved here, but I think they changed it at some point to sound more American.
Yeah.
So now, the benefit, I think, of having a last name like mine that's different is, I have a big extended family, and you can know, we're all related, and so I'm grateful for that name now.
That's cool. That's cool. Much like Yakey, like yay and a key. I don't know where it comes from, but it's my last name.
Exactly.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, listen, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I had a chance to first meet you, talking about literacy, me reading your vibes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it at IBJ 40 Under 40 where I connected with you, or was that not the first time?
I think, we have a lot of mutual friends, as you know.
True.
And so, and I had exposure to Providence Cristo Rey before, so we had been communicating a little bit, but I think that's the first time we met, which is a great example of, I don't know about you, but that was maybe a little uncomfortable to be honored in that way.
Yeah.
But man, I got some great friends and connections that were in that class with us.
Absolutely.
That was a great thing that came out of that.
It was, man. Those opportunities to be celebrated with others, to be celebrated, can kind of create a moment or some momentum, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Momentum to kind of keep those relationships going,
For
particularly
sure.
as you see people in the community like, hey, what's up? Good to see you.
Exactly.
Because sometimes, it's like buying a new car, right? You get a new car, you look for it to be unique, and as soon as you buy, you see everybody else has the same car. Because now you know what to look for.
You're looking for
it,
yeah.
Right.
100%.
So I don't like to really go into too many stories about what people are doing now. But man, I just want to give a shout out to you, man. You are doing great things in the community, not just professionally, but you are helping to be one of the leaders of a company that's unique. And you balance it with doing so many great things. You're a father, you're a husband, you serve on boards. Can you talk a little bit about how did you become so involved in not just one thing? Because there's individuals that are so career focused. This is what they do. Mm-hmm. But you seem to balance it well. You seem to have your heart in some places where you can share your passions with others. How do you become that type of person of generosity?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when it started, but I always felt that I needed to have some passion, projects that really drove me. And I'm very, involved in the business community and growing our business, and that, is important to me. But having something that serves more of a higher purpose has always been really important to me. So I've found time, and I think what I would say, though, and you and I have talked about this before, is I'm also pretty thoughtful about saying no when I know I can't give my all to an organization. As you probably get a lot of calls now, hey, can you help with this? Hey, can you help with that? And so there's a few things that I've dove into head first, and things like St. Mary's Child Center and Special Olympics of Indiana, and those things have always, you make time. I mean, people that are always talking about, I don't have any time, I can't, you have to set the priorities, but I keep the list constrained, you know what I'm saying, so that I can truly give my all to those organizations. And when it's my time to roll off, if I can't serve another term, then
good,
I move on to the next passion project.
That's good. You said something that was interesting. I heard you say the ability to say no. Mm-hmm. Have you found it harder to say no to good things, or is it easier to say no to things when you know that you can't be your most authentic self? Because I see a lot of people struggle with that word no, because they think opportunity comes. When it comes, it has to come now, right? Mm-hmm. But how many of your no's have turned into laters, man? And kind of talk a little bit more about why that no has been so great in your life.
Yeah, well, it took me a while to learn this. You know, now I have little kids and I'm married, and I have to say no. I'm running a growing company. I don't have an easy answer for you, because you get FOMO when you say no, man, a lot of times.
That's what I'm like. It's like,
right? Yeah, and because one piece of advice I'd have for students would be to actually, I got this in one of my SKL classes from the
Shout
speaker.
Shout out to Stanley K. Lacey, SKL, hands down. I think one of the best executive leadership cohorts in the country.
Unbelievable. And I was 43. You were 45, I think. The class 45th year, which is pretty significant. And, you know, that's one mentor there. John Lecklider was my, unbelievable
you had
leader.
Some good people in your class, too.
100%.
So,
a bunch. So, you know, we talked a lot about saying no there, because that group gets asked so many times. So part of it is, hey, say yes to meetings and things that you can meet people and interact with them. Say yes to a lot of those, especially when you're younger. As far as joining an actual board or getting really involved with the committee, and by the way, once you do well on a committee, they'll come after you. You raise money or you get people involved, the word gets around and everybody wants you. So now, fast forward, in my mid-30s, and I've gotten my arms around what I can do. I have it devoted to memory. Like, these are the 3 or 4 things that I do well, including, you know, being a family man. And it takes something really like, man, I don't think this will come back later for me to say yes to anything else. Or like, when I said yes to joining an organization like Young Presidents Organization, YPO, which is a huge part of my life now, I said no to a couple other things at that same time to make room.
Yeah, that's good. We have to make room for growth.
Yeah.
What has been one of the most challenging things in your journey in life that has given you the opportunities to grow, right? And I think I'm gonna use growth from a term that's loosely there, because I think when people sometimes think of growth, they think of only the good things, right?
Yeah.
But I remember going through growing pains with my knees in middle school. It hurt, but I was growing, right? What have been some of your growth moments, man?
Yeah, I think for me, my story is one of a late bloomer. Which I think a lot of people probably have these stories, but you when you admire leaders in the community or the business world, you think they just had it all figured out.
Yep.
You know, I remember when you had Jimmy on here and he talked about going to college at 16 and
I
stuff
was like, you went to college and when?
Yeah, so
you know, a brilliant mind.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like 19 as a freshman.
Exactly. So you start thinking, oh my gosh, he was like literally years ahead. But so I was really more of a late bloomer. I was, I was an athlete and, got okay grades so I could kind of coast in high school and things like that, but I didn't really apply myself. Went to Purdue, definitely didn't have it all figured out, but now there's not all the guardrails around you. So I did not do well my freshman year, almost failed out, was getting into trouble or whatever. And my parents brought me back home and Purdue didn't need to say anything. The decision was made. You're going to come back home, and so that was a challenging period. I was away for a summer and a semester from Purdue, and I had some pretty specific things I had to knock out. Take some classes at IUSB, work like crazy to save up more money for when I went back to college. And really, hey, you have to get A's in these classes to even talk about going back. Not A minuses, but A's. And so, at the time it was really, really challenging. It was 18.
Yeah.
But looking back on that, I think that a lot of grit came from that. And also I had a lot of people that helped me. And so now I feel like when I look back, I'm like, you make your own luck in a lot of ways. I felt when those things were going wrong for me, I felt like I was unlucky, but I really just wasn't doing the right things. And then I started working really hard doing the right things, and it was uncanny that, people were helping me and good things were happening and phone calls were coming in. So to me, that period, and then the light bulb went on at like 20 maybe for me, and from there it was an upward trajectory.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone once about growth, and they said, man, sometimes you think success is just like this onward thing, but it's like up, down, down, up, down. He said you can track your success by how many times you go down, and if your downs are slowly going up, you're doing something great.
100%.
And college is tough, man. College is something that you have to learn when you're on your own. But the fact that you worked hard and you're able to transfer that to that skill set and take accountability. I heard accountability in that. You got to take accountability for your actions.
Absolutely.
And then you can kind of go someplace else. So what would your employees, partners, how would they say your leadership style is?
Yeah, we call them, my company's mesh system, so we call them mesh mates.
Oh, the mesh mates. I like that. What would the mesh mates say about your leadership style?
Well, I'd be curious to know, first of all. But I hope that they'd say that I'm real and authentic, and I don't BS too much, and like I'm direct in a respectful way. So I hope that they'd say that I bring the energy every day, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's all leaders in my peer groups talk about that, because we all going through stuff too, right? But I hope that they'd say that I'm bringing the energy, that I'm typically positive, glass half full, and very collaborative, and once again, just real.
Yeah, that's good, man. Thank you for sharing that. Leadership is something that also is a part of being real and those things there. You mentioned athlete. You got some highlight. You about 6'5", 6'4"?
6'6", yeah.
Oh, 6'6"? Okay. I mean, you said that looking at me like, yeah, 6'6". Man, watch it, man. We go on the court, man. I can shoot jumps. I can't jump no more.
Yeah.
So how has been an athlete been able to help that skill set? Because I've noticed a lot of athletes, man, you have this innate ability of work ethic and understanding team and understanding how things work together. How many transferable skills are you able to relate from being an athlete to where you at now?
Many. I was a decent athlete in basketball, baseball, things like that, football growing up. I think there's a reason why, so many employers look to that, companies look to that as, but now reflecting back, it doesn't have to be just athletics. It can be any team-oriented thing where you have to, achieve success together with others. So I think that when we hire, and by the way, I came up through the business as a salesperson. I mean, that's really what I went to Purdue for, and that's really, I'm a producer by trade that now is just in more of a leadership role. So I'm often hiring producers, and so you can obviously make this connection to, they're going to be very competitive, very, the scoreboard matters to them, and they want to achieve success together. And oftentimes it's many other departments, like what we sell and what we do at Mesh is so technical, and so a salesperson cannot get any deal done with a large customer without sales engineers and just the engineering department in general, and G&A, and leadership, and everybody really supporting that effort. So I think it's incredible when you've got somebody that comes from that background, whether it's theater or it's sports or whatever. The skills are very transferable.
Transferable skills. You said the word producers. For those who may not understand what producers are, I was a producer. I like to hire producers. What do you mean by that terminology?
Yeah, I just would identify myself and many others as producers. And what I mean by that is just being on the front end of the business as far as revenue generation,
Okay.
you know, and so
Yeah,
and that could be a producer could be at a not-for-profit too, right?
Rainmakers. You just shake the tree.
Yeah.
Everyone can get fed.
Exactly. You know, in fact, every not-for-profit needs these people as well too to keep the lights on. And so, like I said, I went to Purdue for sales and marketing, and then I really enjoyed building relationships with stakeholders and our customers, and so that's how I came up through the business at Dean, and then how I ended up at Mesh, and so I've always been in that field, and I think that I'm obviously biased, but I think being a producer is an excellent way to end up ascending through an organization if that's what you have ambition for, because leaders of organizations like the founder of my company are, you know, looking to people that can grow the business and help grow the business, and so it's a natural. You'll see CEOs or presidents sometimes that come from finance or operations. That definitely will continue to happen, but you also see a lot, like Dave Ricks from Lilly as an example, that come through that sales and marketing track.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Sales, marketing, producers, getting things out. In terms of not only, I'm not going to say the climate, but in terms of some areas that you can maybe share. This podcast is geared towards not only youth, but we also share it on platforms like LinkedIn for the professional community. We share it on Facebook for families. What type of advice could you give to anyone, no matter the age where they're at, but maybe going through transitions in life, whether it's my kids, I'm an empty nester now, or it's I'm going into a new career as a young professional, or I'm just graduating from college. What type of advice can you give from your perspective and your experiences about how to manage transitions and still keep maintaining the balance of yourself?
That's a great question. I would say the way, you know, I've done it twofold is one, first of all, just really understand yourself and what differentiating capabilities you have. Like those are transferable, very much so. I've switched industries a couple of times now, and the things that are innate to me, they transfer over from company to company or organization to organization. You start doing not-for-profit stuff and for-profit stuff, it's amazing the skills that make you valuable to either of them. So one, just like bring what makes you differentiated or different or special into that. And then secondly, you can't skip the work. You have to dig really deep into what that new organization or vertical industry is. Like I run a tech company and I'm not technical. So at the beginning of when I went to Mesh, I literally had other leaders on my team run me through kind of school. Like at like 7 a.m, they would run to me to teach me about, you know, wireless networking and devices and all these things.
And
just
I'm sure that was uncomfortable as a leader, like, man, I'm learning this new space, I have the skill, but I don't know anything, right? It's vulnerable, but.
Enough, people, exactly, Fred. People, that's one of the things where I'm talking about being direct, being candid. Like, people are really afraid to be like, I'm not really any good at this. I don't really have the background for it. I'm really good at this. Whereas I've always just been that way where it's like, I actually really respect it creates a lot of empathy. Because it's like, I'm really not good at this, and I know you are, so can I learn from you here? And that has been a huge thing. So first of all, just bring your talents that are differentiated, and secondly, on the parts that you don't really know, you got to dig really deep and like really be super. One of my mentors was Tom Zupancic, who was my boss at Dean.
Love
and
it.
You know, big supporter along with Gary Edwards, the owner of Dean and this school. He was one of the things that I really enjoyed learning from him was he was deeply curious about all of our customers and employees, and it was so authentic. He would just ask them 100 questions, and every day was just trying to learn so much. So I try and really keep that curiosity going.
That's good, man. Empathy, being transparent and honest with your voids and sharing them creates empathy. That was good. That was good. I think that's something that's lacking in our climate, particularly as it deals with culture, man. We all want to put up a facade, I often see, and that can create a wall that doesn't exist. Whereas empathy and vulnerability can only create an opportunity to go. And I'm sure there's reasons why people do it or not, but I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so at the end of the podcast, I like to do an either or question. Now, I've asked this to somebody before, and I was disappointed in their answer. Now, you've been a basketball guy. I'm just going to cut to the chase. This is GOAT conversation. GOAT, for those who don't know, greatest of all time. Not actual GOAT, but GOAT. Greatest of all time. Basketball player. LeBron or Michael Jordan?
Oh, man.
Now, someone else came up with a name I didn't even consider because I didn't consider him. And if not them, who is it? A, B, or C?
Yeah, so I have been a really big LeBron fan over the years.
What he did in the Olympics was pretty amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's a dog, man. I can't believe the longevity that he's had. But I still MJ.
MJ.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's still MJ. Yeah, he has a little more killer instinct. Just the trophies that he's assembled. Yeah. I mean, it's just I think he's just still a little bit different.
Okay.
And now, hey, LeBron's not done.
No.
So we can talk about 40. This in a couple years.
Yeah, you're right. But I respect that. Okay. So you choose.
Was that the right or wrong answer?
No, man. I mean, it was an answer that's respectable. I'm LeBron James. Let me tell you why I'm LeBron James. I am LeBron James. I don't take anything you said about Jordan. I grew up with Jordan. I grew up wanting to be like Mike. Remember the commercial? I want to be like Mike.
Absolutely.
Wearing a little headband. I remember. But man, I used to be anti-LeBron until I had to look myself in the mirror and says, I don't think it's fair for me to compare him to something that we've never seen before. And I think with LeBron James, I mean, the fact that you had this amount of pressure at 17, and you come into the league and immediately you just make this impact. And he's prolonged success over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar numbers, like where he's not dropped. Yeah. And I add LeBron into what he does in the community too.
Yeah.
So I've kind of changed.
It's
my
a close.
position.
I mean, it's
close.
It's really close. He's definitely too. I don't know if somebody was throwing Kobe and do it or something, but
man, somebody said Kobe before.
Yeah,
I was like, man,
he's top 5. But
he's 5, but Kobe's not. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't think
hey, this is a great conversation to be in. Number 1, number 2.
Number 2. I mean, and we're in the barbershop. This is what we talk about in the barbershop.
Yeah, exactly. It's a close race.
It's a close race.
For sure.
Okay. Football. Can we go football?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Tom Brady or Peyton Manning?
Well, hey man. It's Peyton.
Let's go. Let's go.
I mean, it's just, I can't even.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Because I don't think people look at the ring. I don't think the rings is a fair debate.
Yeah.
I think rings matter, but multiple championships. Both of them did it in different teams, which was respectable, right? But what Peyton Manning did with no coach, with multiple coaches, calling Omaha. I mean, change it again.
We're in Indianapolis, man. I mean, you know what the right answer is. That one's clear.
Thank you, man. Because if you wouldn't say Tom Brady, I was gonna say cut the episode.
No.
We're not airing you. We're not airing you. Well, listen, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you coming to the Barbershop podcast. Now, for my audience and for my own personal, where can we follow the work that you're doing, and how can we support what you're doing in the community?
A whole nother podcast is kind of staying away from certain social media facades that we talked about.
That's good.
But LinkedIn for sure. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to meet with anybody that wants to talk about anything related to leadership or the community or business or whatever it may be. So LinkedIn, you can find me there, and then my company Mesh Systems as well. You can follow what we're doing, and then St. Mary's Child Center and other things that I'm involved in. And let me also take the opportunity to shout out, my primary mentor right now, my boss, Richard Baxter.
That's huge, man. Thank you.
Who founded our company and is now, bringing up a new wave of leadership, including me. And I think what I would say about that is that often mentors will see something in you before you do. And, he's an example of somebody that is a great leader, great man. And, I didn't really aspire to be the leader of our company. I just wanted to put points on the board and be a producer and help the company grow and do all that stuff. And he saw something in me and then groomed me and emphasized all of my positives and strengths. And that's a huge reason why I'm here, today as the leader that I am. So I just want to shout him out.
And thank you for doing that. And thank you for ending with what this is about, mentorship. people seeing things in you that you not necessarily seeing yourself.
Yeah.
Matters.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, thanks for coming, y'all.
Yeah, I really appreciate it,
brother.
man. Great to see you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for touring. This is a great man. Please support some of the causes he's doing. Shout out to St. Mary's Child Care. They're doing transformational things in the community. And thank you for tuning in to this session.